Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the free legal advice show on British Muslim TV. I'm your host Ilyas Bulbulia and I'll be with you for the next hour. As our regular viewers are aware, the free legal advice show provides you, our viewers, the opportunity to call in and ask me any questions that you have on any aspect of English law. On this show, I am able to cover a vast, diverse range of matters. Matters ranging from immigration law matters, family law matters, criminal law matters. So whatever your legal questions are, please do feel free to get in touch with us. Two ways to get in touch. Firstly, you can ring on the landline number which appears at the bottom of the screen. Alternatively, another very popular way of getting in touch is to send us a message on the mobile number which also appears at the bottom of the screen, a WhatsApp message, a text message. So a live call on the landline number and a message, a written text message on the mobile number. And we get numerous messages even before we've come on air today. We've had a number of messages coming through, and hopefully as we go on throughout the show, we'll start going through our messages. A couple of minor points before we get going. On a live show, sometimes it's difficult to take very detailed information from callers who call in. Sometimes you need to look at documents before you advise properly on the issue that's been raised. If it's the case that your matter's complex or I need to look at documents, then I will ask you to leave your number with the control room and I will give you a ring off air and we could have that more thorough discussion off air. And again, this is advice that we provide completely free of charge, which is part of the free legal advice show. In my experience, the vast majority of questions that are put to us, I should be able to deal with them live on air. So we've had a number of messages coming in today, even before we've come on the show, which is fantastic. But as always, if you want to speak to me live on air, please do ring on that landline number, which is there, and you'll be able to speak to me live on air. And I will hopefully try and assist you, give you some guidance in relation to the issues that you are facing. Okay, before we go to our messages, let's go to our first caller for the day. Hello, assalamu alaikum. Hello.
Yeah, wa alaikum assalam. Yeah. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum assalam, brother. How are you? You okay?
Yeah, alhamdulillah. Sir, my question is, it's nearly 8 months.
Okay.
And the Home Office have my documents, obviously. They haven't decided yet. By my elder sister, she's not feeling well back home. So I need to take my documents back. So what should I do? Because our 4 people application is there, but I need just mine documents back.
I know. What kind of application have you submitted at the moment?
It's based on Zambrano.
Oh, Zambrano. Okay. Now, just before you submitted the Zambrano application, did you have any other application where you had leave to remain?
No. I did have a valid visa for 2.5 years.
Okay. All right.
So the Home Office have my BRP card. It's still valid for next 2 years.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's fine. So, you know the leave to remain that you had before?
Yeah.
Was that a human rights visa, not Zambrano visa?
That was a family route, 10 years route.
The 10-year, 2.5 year visa.
And that was the second extension I had it.
I understand. Okay. Now, if you want to withdraw the application, you will need to get in touch with the Home Office for that. Now, you know your visa card. Have you sent that visa card to the Home Office? Hello? Hi, brother.
Yes, I have sent them. Yes.
Okay. All right. So you don't now have a visa card with you?
No, it's with them and my passport, obviously, yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So did you make a paper-based application for Zambrano?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's the problem there. Now, okay, you can withdraw the application. You're going to have to, first of all, inform the EU settlement unit that you're withdrawing the application, and then you need your passport back. You know what I would suggest to you, because there is a substantial delay at the moment in the EU department which deals with these kind of applications. I would use the services of your local MP's office to get your passport back and to get your BRP card back. So by all means, send your letter off to them saying that you're withdrawing the application. You can go onto the website and you can also email the contact center and tell them you are withdrawing the application and that you want your documents returned. After that, speak to your local MP and say, look, I've withdrawn my application. I need my passport back as a matter of urgency. When they contact the EU Resolution Centre, that's more likely to result in your passport being returned more quickly. Brother, I don't know whether you managed to hear my answer or not.
But my question is, it's already 8 months past, obviously, and because my 4 of dependent, they are on the application as well, but I don't want to withdraw. I just want mine one, my passport and BRP, so that I can travel and come back.
Okay.
Then obviously I can give them back to the Home Office.
Okay, so I think, look, if you don't want to withdraw, why don't you just ask for your documents to be returned? Because Zambrano is a European application where you should be allowed to get your documents back. The problem is once you tell them you're going to travel, normally they withdraw the application. This is the problem. So on a European application, they don't always hold your application. They're normally done online. Obviously, you've done the paper-based form. That's why they've got your documents. But the moment you say to them you are traveling, leaving the country, that's when they withdraw the application. This is the problem. When you leave the country, applications are withdrawn. So yours would be withdrawn. The others would continue, but your application would be withdrawn. You can't leave the country and have your application pending. You can only do that with a nationality application. This is the problem. So you have a choice. One is you might be able to push them to make a quicker decision, but Zambrano cases are significantly delayed, so I don't think that's going to work. You either withdraw it and you get your passport back and start again after you return, or the last thing is you just wait and hope and that it gets decided sometime in the next few months. There's no easy solution to it. If you travel, your application is withdrawn automatically. So if you say to them, I am traveling, they will withdraw your application and cancel your application.
All right. Okay. Thank you very much, sir.
No problem. Thank you very much for your call. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. I think we have another caller waiting. So let's see whether our caller is still there or not. Hello. Assalamu alaikum. Hello.
Assalamu alaikum.
Ji walaikum salam. Brother, thank you for calling. What's your question? Brother, you're live on air. I think you might be very close to your TV. I can hear a sort of an echo. It might be helpful if you can just move slightly away from the TV. And
right, okay. I just turned it right.
All right, thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. What's your question?
Yeah. Right. So my question is basically, I got a limited leave to remain in the UK. Basically, I've got a year and a half to complete my 10-year. Right. I'm basically a single father. Right. So what basically happened? I made application for my wife to for entry clearance into the UK about just over 6 months ago.
All right, okay.
Basically, I know it's due to my circumstance, due to my visa, I can't actually make an entry clear application to the UK, but I made under the exceptional circumstance.
I understand.
They basically attach court order, and a few later from the social service, basically. I
understand.
I tell the fact I don't have any family to look after my child. So my question basically is, the application has been pending over the last 6 months ago. So I basically contacted the Home Office by phone calls about a few weeks ago, and they back to me for de-escalation. So they back to me and says, thank you for after the contact, and I said sorry for delay your application, and your application is still under consideration and we worked on it. I'm just wondering, obviously, quite a few of my calls made the application at the same time. They get obviously decision back within 3 months. So I just wondering why they're taking so long trying to make a decision. Is that something because I got a kind of complex case, or
it's a complex case now. Your case is not your ordinary normal case where you're sponsoring a partner to come to the United Kingdom. I think from the way you're putting your question, you understand what the issue is. You don't have indefinite leave to remain. So you're asking for your case to be considered outside the rules. and you're obviously relying on court orders, etc. So they have to. It seems like they are taking your application seriously. They are. It looks like they are taking it seriously. They haven't just dismissed it. But it does mean that the normal processing time at the moment for spouse applications, which is 3 to 4 months, won't apply to you. In more complex cases, it does normally take 7 to 8 months. That's what I've noticed in unusual applications where there's a lot of history or something's not completely right, if I can put it that way. I've noticed recently that it is taking 7, 8 months, 9 months. That's the more normal time frame for slightly unusual applications. So I wouldn't worry about the fact that you haven't had a decision back. I think they are looking at it properly. And sometimes these cases where they are outside the rules, they have to be decided by a more senior immigration officer or entry clearance officer. That's why sometimes these cases take slightly longer. If I had to give you a time frame for your kind of case, I would say 7, 8, 9 months is what you're looking at for a decision.
Right.
Brother,
Right. Okay. So I just want to understand other world is I'm just wondering if they obviously do want to refuse in the first place, they could refuse it like ages ago.
Yeah, so I think it's not something that they've knocked back straight away. They are giving it, I think, serious consideration. Brother, I do apologize, but we are going to a break now. I do apologize.
No, that's fine. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you very much for the call. Thank you. And I completely understand your frustration. 6 months, 7 months, you're waiting, you still haven't had a decision. But what I would suggest is that, look, they have told you it's under consideration. I don't think even the involvement of an MP is going to help at this stage. Work on the basis that it's going to take 7, 8, 9 months for a decision. That's what I've noticed with more complex spouse applications. But brother, thank you very much for that call. Quite an interesting query. We're taking a short break. Inshallah, we'll be back in the next couple of minutes. Inshallah. See you then. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the Free Legal Advice Show on British Muslim TV. I'm your host, Ilyas Bulbulia. To speak to me live on air, please ring on the landline number which appears at the bottom of the screen. As always, to send us messages, you can do that on the mobile number which also appears at the bottom of the screen. We've had a caller waiting for a while. Let's go to our next caller. Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum.
Ji, wa alaikum salam.
Actually, मेरा ना एक क्वेश्चन था.
जी.
वो क्वेश्चन ये था कि मैंने बस 2-3 लास्ट मंथ रिप्लाई आया मेरा 5 साल के बाद जो लीव टू रिमाइंड उनका ना हो गया है मेरा. उसके अलावा उसके बाद मैं ये पूछना था. मैं मैंने सब कुछ अपने तौर पे ही मैंने अप्लाई किया था तो एज अ स्पाउस है ना. तो अभी मैं नेशनैलिटी के लिए अप्लाई करना चाह रहा. तो मैं गया था जब gov.uk की वेबसाइट पे नेशनैलिटी अप्लाई करने के लिए. तो मुझे वहाँ थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूजन है. वहाँ पे 2-3 ऑप्शन आ रहे हैं तो मुझे उसका कंफर्म नहीं है कि मतलब वो उसमें कौन से ऑप्शन पे जाना है. मैंने इसलिए आपको कॉल की इंफॉर्मेशन लेने के लिए.
जी, तो आप अभी ऑनलाइन अप्लाई कर रहे हैं? ऑनलाइन?
हाँ जी, ऑनलाइन अप्लाई करना. हाँ जी, ऑनलाइन.
जी, ठीक है, ओके. और आपका इंडेफिनिट लीव अभी है आया?
अभी आया. हाँ जी, लास्ट मंथ में तकरीबन 3-4 वीक हो गए.
और आपकी जो वाइफ है वो ब्रिटिश है?
हाँ जी, ब्रिटिश. जी,
चलो ठीक है, ओके. तो अभी फॉर्म पे क्या, आप ऑनलाइन फॉर्म पे गए तो क्या ऑप्शंस आ रहे हैं?
जब मैं gov.uk पे जाके मैंने लिखा कि अप्लाई फॉर नेशनैलिटी.
और जी, आप फॉर्म के बारे में बात करते हैं ना कि क्या फॉर्म यूज करना है?
सॉरी,
आप फॉर्म के बारे में पूछते हैं कि जो फॉर्म की लिंक क्या है?
हाँ जी, कौन सा फॉर्म. हाँ जी, मैं ऑनलाइन जैसे मैंने फाइल जब हम अप्लाई करते हैं अपना एक्सटेंशन के लिए या फिर लीव टू रिमेन के लिए जब मैंने अप्लाई किया सेम वैसा ही फॉर्म होता है. और कौन सा फॉर्म है क्योंकि उसमें मुझे 2-3 कंफ्यूजन है. जैसे
कोई बात नहीं, वो स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड है. आपने जो पहले जो फॉर्म फिल किया है ना, उसकी जो फॉर्मेट है ना वो सिमिलर है. और वो फॉर्म का नाम है फॉर्म AN.
फॉर्म AN.
A for apple,
Yes.
N for November, AN.
सो सिंपली इट मीन मैं जाऊंगा gov.uk पे जाके उनकी वेबसाइट पे तो लिखना है फॉर्म AN, A फॉर एप्पल, N फॉर नवंबर,
फॉर्म AN। आप तो गूगल पे भी जाएंगे ना, अगर गूगल पे भी डालेंगे ना फॉर्म AN नेशनैलिटी,
ओके,
ये डालना पड़ेगा, फॉर्म AN नेशनैलिटी। अब
अच्छा
गूगल
तो मुझे कंफ्यूजन जहाँ पे हुई वो कंफ्यूजन ये थी कि मैंने जब वहाँ पे जाके लिखा, मुझे फॉर्म का तो नहीं पता था, ये तो आपने अभी क्लियर किया, थैंक यू। और वहाँ पे आता था न्यूट्रलाइजेशन, ब्रिटिश सिटीजनशिप और ब्रिटिश नेशनैलिटी। तो मुझे ये कंफ्यूजन था इसमें कौन से ऑप्शन पे जाके मुझे वो फॉर्म करा कौन सा ढूंढना है, तो ये मुझे कंफ्यूजन
आप उसकी वरी ना करो, आप सिर्फ गूगल में, गॉव पे भी नहीं, गूगल में सिर्फ फॉर्म AN नेशनैलिटी, वो नेशनैलिटी भी लिखना पड़ेगा, बिकॉज फॉर्म AN जो है ना, एक कन्वेंसिंग प्रॉपर्टी का भी एक फॉर्म AN आता है, सो इसलिए आपको गूगल में डालना पड़ेगा फॉर्म AN नेशनैलिटी। AN का मतलब आई थिंक सिर्फ ये है कि अडल्ट नेशनैलिटी, अडल्ट नेचुरलाइजेशन, इतना ही है। मगर मेक श्योर करना कि जब आप वो फॉर्म पे जाएंगे तो वहाँ लिखा होगा फॉर्म AN, तो वो आपको फिल करना है। वैसे नेशनैलिटी के काफ़ी और फॉर्म भी आते हैं।
और दूसरी बात ये है कि जब मैं इसके लिए अप्लाई करूंगा, क्योंकि मैं जॉब करता हूँ परमानेंट, तो अभी मैं जॉब छोड़ रहा हूँ, मैं सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयड अपना काम मैं कर रहा हूँ। तो इसमें पे स्लिप मुझे ये बताया है, क्योंकि मेरे फ्रेंड ने मेरे साथ ही अप्लाई किया था, तो उसका भी लीव टू रिमेन 1.5 माह पहले आ गया था, और उसने स्ट्रेट वे सोलिसिटर के थ्रू अप्लाई कर दिया था नेशनैलिटी के लिए, और उसका हो गया। तो मैंने उनसे थोड़ी सी इन्फॉर्मेशन ली थी, तो उससे भी नहीं पता था, कहता मेरी वाइफ ने सोलिसिटर को बोला तो वो उन्होंने करके दिया। तो ये भी मुझे पता है, मैं कर लूंगा खुद ही अपने तौर पे। तो मैं सिर्फ इन्फॉर्मेशन ले रहा था, तो आज बैठा ही मैंने अचानक काफी दिनों बाद टीवी देख रहा था, आपका प्रोग्राम मैं रेगुलर से देखता होता हूँ, तो वो मेरे जहन में आया। तो अभी मैं वो पिछले 2-3 वीक में मैं रुक गया था वो उस कंफ्यूजन की वजह से, तो आपको कॉल की, मैंने कहा मैं आपसे कंफर्म कर लेता हूँ, थैंक यू उसके लिए। और ये मुझे पूछना था कि इसके लिए पे स्लिप वगैरह अभी तो नहीं चाहिए होती ना, सिर्फ वही चाहिए होता है मेरा ख्याल, जो होम ऑफिस का लेटर का रेफरेंस नंबर जो आया, मेरा कार्ड जो आया अभी।
तो इसमें ये है कि आपकी बात सही है कि इसमें कोई फाइनेंशियल रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है। जैसे आपने पहले जो किया ना, तो 18,600 बताओ, ये वेज स्लिप डालो, ये लेटर लाओ, ये बैंक स्टेटमेंट डालो, ऐसी कोई सिस्टम नहीं है नेशनैलिटी में।
ठीक है,
सिर्फ वो क्या कहते हैं कि अगर आप नेशनैलिटी के लिए अप्लाई करते हैं ना, तो अगर आप काम करते हैं, इफ़ यू आर वर्किंग, तो फिर थोड़ी सी वेज स्लिप्स दे दो हमको, पता नहीं क्यों मांगते हैं, मगर मांगते हैं। अगर काम नहीं करते देने की ज़रूरत नहीं है। अगर आप सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयड है और आपके पास वो HMRC के कोई डॉक्यूमेंट्स आए हैं सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयड के, तो फिर वो दे दो। अगर वो नहीं है ना आपके पास, तो कोई बताने की ज़रूरत नहीं है। अगर कोई बंदा अनएम्प्लॉयड है तो उसको तो बिल्कुल कोई बताने की ज़रूरत नहीं है। अगर वो बेनिफिट्स पे है तब भी ठीक है। सो कोई फाइनेंशियल रिक्वायरमेंट्स नहीं है, कोई डॉक्यूमेंट्री भी मैंडेटरी रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है फाइनेंसेस की। वो सिर्फ कहते हैं कि अगर आप काम करते हैं तो हमको P60 दे दो, थोड़े से हमको वेज स्लिप दे दो। अगर सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयड है तो HMRC का लेटर दे दो। मगर अगर नहीं है ना, तो इससे कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं आएगा आपको। बिल्कुल।
मैं तो वैसे 5-6 साल से मैं अपने वीजे के लिए मैं पूरा परमानेंट फुल टाइम जॉब कर रहा था, लेकिन ये जो वीक है ये मेरा लास्ट वीक है काम पे, और फिर मैंने अपना सेटअप स्टार्ट कर लिया है। वो मैं सेल्फ एम्प्लॉयड सोल ट्रेडर हूँ अभी एट द मोमेंट। और मुझे 1 साल की मेरे पास जो आपने बोला ना HRMC का लेटर वगैरह, जो मैंने टैक्स पे किया या नहीं किया, वो उनका आया हुआ है, रिसीव हुआ हुआ सोलिसिटर के थ्रू, अकाउंटेंट के थ्रू।
जी बिल्कुल ठीक है। तो आप ऐसे करो कि अगर पुराने P60s है, ये ज़रूरी नहीं है, मगर अगर है आपके पास पुराने P60s 19, 20, 21 के, वो डाल दो। HMRC का कोई अगर लेटर आया है, सेल्फ असेसमेंट का लेटर, ऐसा कुछ, वो डाल दो। कोई मैंडेटरी कोई रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है इसमें।
जी। और इसमें जैसे कि मैंने अपने फ्रेंड से पूछा, उसका आज ही वो बता रहा था, उसका तकरीबन 3 वीक के अंदर नेशनैलिटी का भी वो कंफर्म हो गया और आ गया है। और अच्छा, इसमें ये चीज़ थी कि जब हम अप्लाई करते हैं, इसमें प्रोसीजर जैसे सेम टू सेम वो जब हम पे कर देते हैं NHS वगैरह, और उसके बाद फिर वो बायोमेट्रिक की डेट वगैरह आती है कि वो सिलेक्ट कर लो। इसमें 2 चीज़ें हैं वो कन्फ्यूजन के, मुझे ये नहीं पता वो किस तरह वो तो मैं जब फॉर्म स्टार्ट करूंगा तो मुझे होपफुली पता चल जाएगा एंड में। लेकिन मुझे ये कंफर्म करना है, इसमें दो चीजें होती है ना, एक तो सेरेमनी होती है ना, वो तो बाद में होती है मेरा ख्याल।
जी बाद में होती है। तो इसका
पहले
प्रोसेस
बायोमेट्रिक का जब हमने पे कर देना है, वो जब हम फॉर्म फिल करेंगे तब वो पे करना है 1300 समथिंग जो नेशनलिटी फीस है।
जी बिल्कुल सही बात है। सो अब जब एंड पे जाएंगे ना तो
हाँ
आपको वो फी होगी ना 1310-20 पाउंड जो भी है,
जी जी,
वो पे करना पड़ेगा
ठीक
आपको
है
वो स्टेज पे। अम,
ठीक है
फिर अम, जब एप्लीकेशन अप्रूव होगा
जी
और आपको सेरेमनी में जाना पड़ेगा, तो फिर
जी
सेरेमनी की कोई और सेपरेट फी नहीं आती सेरेमनी की।
ठीक
सो
ठीक
आप पहले भी गए थे ना वो फिंगरप्रिंट्स के लिए, तो वो सेम इसमें भी कराते हैं फिंगरप्रिंट्स। तो आपने
जी
जब
जी
पहले किया था ना,
जी, हाँ
एप्लीकेशन फ़ी
जी
पे कर दी, वो यूके विकास
जी
की वेबसाइट पे
जी
गए, फिंगरप्रिंट्स का
जी
अपॉइंटमेंट बुक किया, फ्री या
जी
पेड जो भी है। सो
जी जी
वो जो प्रोसेस है ना, और सारा फॉर्म का जो सेट आउट जो है, फॉर्मेट
हाँ
है,
जी
वो एग्ज़ैक्टली
जी
सेम है, जैसे कि
सेम
आपने पहले किया है एफएलआरएम
जी
से
जी
पहले,
जी
एग्ज़ैक्ट सेम है इसमें।
जी जी।
और डॉक्यूमेंट्स भी आई
और
थिंक पहले आपने अपलोड किए थे डॉक्यूमेंट्स स्कैन करके?
नहीं, मैंने अपलोड नहीं किए थे। मैंने जब उनसे और 100+13 जो
जी।
थर्ड पार्टी है उनके ऑफिस में जाके जब मैंने
हाँ, तो ठीक है।
खुद फॉर्म एक स्कैन उनसे करवाए थे
जी,
फी
जी।
दे के और बायोमेट्रिक
जी,
सेम
तो
डे।
जी, वो भी बिल्कुल ठीक है। अगर आप वैसा करना सोपर स्टेडिया के पास कराना चाहते हैं, तो वो भी बिल्कुल आप करा सकते हैं, इसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है।
ठीक
स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड है इंशाल्लाह आपके लिए। आपने जैसे
जी
बताया ना कि
जी
आप 5 ईयर्स से है, वाइफ भी
हाँ जी
ब्रिटिश है, इंडेफिनिट भी
हाँ
हो
जी
गया।
हाँ जी।
ना कोई कन्विक्शंस तो नहीं होंगे, कोई अपसेंस भी कोई ज़्यादा तो नहीं है ना यूके से बाहर? ज़्यादा तो नहीं रहे ना आप?
नहीं मेरी ज्यादा नहीं है उसमें कोई। हाँ जी, वो भी आपकी फीस क्लियर करिए ना, वो कैसे होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि हम फर्स्ट टाइम मैं गया हूँ पहली एक्सटेंशन करवा के 2019 में पूरी फैमिली के साथ। मेरे माशाल्लाह 3 बच्चे हैं। पहली बार जब गया तब 2 बच्चे थे, साथ गए थे मैं, वाइफ और बच्चे। और फिर सेकंड बार जब हम गए 2020 में गए, जब कोविड बिल्कुल स्टार्ट होने लगा था। पिछले फरवरी में हम आए थे, जनवरी में गए थे 2020 में,
जी।
2 साल पहले पूरे। और 4 वीक के लिए गए थे, 27-28 दिन के
नहीं,
लिए। तो फिर
वो
उसी वक्त
जी, वो कोई बिल्कुल प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। वो उसका रूल एक ही
हाँ
है
जी
ना कि लास्ट 1 ईयर में आप कितना टाइम बाहर रहे।
जी।
ला ला
5 साल में बस 2 बार हम गए थे वो, और एक बार 23-24 दिन के लिए और दूसरी बार डेली 26-27 दिन के लिए।
नहीं, नहीं, बिल्कुल प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। उसकी जो लिमिट है
हाँ
ना, वो तो काफ़ी ज़्यादा है।
जी जी
विदिन द लास्ट 5 ईयर्स अबाउट 480 डेज़ ऐसा कुछ है।
हाँ
सो
जी जी।
इसमें बिल्कुल बिल्कुल प्रॉब्लम नहीं है आपके लिए। आपका
तो मैं
जो
जो मैं अप्लाई कर दूंगा, अभी इन दिनों भी हमारा जाने का प्लान है, या फिर जैसे कि ईद आ रही है उस वक्त जुलाई में बच्चों की छुट्टियां हैं, उस वक्त जाने का या प्लान है, या फिर अभी अभी जाने का प्लान है। तो अगर मैं ऐसे ऑनलाइन ये जो मैं करता हूँ
जी,
अप्लाई, अगर मैं सपोज आज में जैसे आपने क्लियर किया, मैं अगर आज ही रात को मैं बैठ के ये अप्लाई करता हूँ और फॉर्म फिल वगैरह करता हूँ, तो ये अगर हमारा प्लान बनता है 2-3 वीक में या 1-2 वीक में जाने का,
जी।
तो उसमें तो कोई इशू नहीं होता ना,
नहीं,
तो
नहीं,
पासपोर्ट वगैरह तो नहीं देना पड़ता
नहीं,
उनको
नहीं,
या
बिल्कुल
कुछ इस तरह का।
नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं। आप ट्रैवल कर सकते हैं। आप ऐसे करो, एप्लीकेशन
जी
डाल दो, आपका फिंगरप्रिंट्स कर लो।
ठीक हो गया।
फिंगरप्रिंट्स कर लो, फिर चले जाओ। ये नॉर्मल
सही।
वीज़ा जैसा नहीं है ना कि आप बाहर नहीं जा सकते। नेशनैलिटी
हाँ
में तो बाहर जा सकते हैं आप। बिल्कुल कोई
सही
प्रॉब्लम
सही। और अच्छा, जो जो ना कार्ड आया है अभी 2 साल का जो उन्होंने कार्ड दिया है,
जी,
लीव टू रिमेन।
जी।
और अच्छा, ये तब खत्म होगा जब हम ये सब कुछ करवा के इन फ्यूचर जब पासपोर्ट हम ब्रिटिश के लिए अप्लाई
जी,
करेंगे
जी।
तब।
जब नेशनैलिटी मिलती है ना, तब फिनिश
जी
होता
जी।
है। जी,
और तब ये खत्म हो जाना है अच्छे
जी,
से।
जी।
अदरवाइज 2-2 साल के बाद उन्होंने कार्ड देते जाना है आगे।
फिर कंटिन्यू रिप्लेस करना पड़ता है ना, तो इसमें कोई
और
फ़ायदा नहीं है ना वो करने में। आप नेशनैलिटी करा लो इंशाल्लाह, वो बेहतर है ना।
नहीं, इंशाल्लाह मैं, हाँ मैं बिल्कुल मैं करने लगा था। मैं उसी वक्त स्ट्रेट वे करने लगा था, क्योंकि मेरे 2 फ्रेंडों ने अप्लाई किया था।
जी,
एक ने तो मुझे पूरी हेल्प भी की थी,
जी।
उसने स्ट्रेट वे वकील के थ्रू ही करवा दिया था, क्योंकि उसने
आपका केस
फॉर्म भी।
बिल्कुल स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड लगता है और आपको
जी
अंडरस्टैंडिंग भी है। इंशाल्लाह आप खुद कर लो, हो जाना चाहिए इंशाल्लाह।
इंशाल्लाह। चले ठीक है, ये
जी,
फॉर्म AN है ये जो
हाँ जी,
मैंने करना
फॉर्म
है, और
एएन
उसमें कह रहे हैं
नेशनैलिटी
आप
का।
तो।
जी,
हाँ जी
जी, जज़ाकल्लाह है, जज़ाकल्लाह आपको कॉल
ठीक
किया।
है। थैंक यू सो मच।
No problem. Thank you very much
अल्लाह
indeed.
हाफिज़।
Ji,
अल्लाह
Assalamu alaikum.
हाफिज़।
Inshallah. Interesting call regarding nationality. But from what our caller was saying, it looks like a reasonably straightforward application. And as I was saying, the caller just had a slight confusion as to which form it was. It is Form AN. And if you Google for it, hopefully you should be able to get to it. But as always, Brother Jazakallah, thank you very much for your call. And I will translate this into English after we've come back from our break. We're taking a short break. We should be back in the next couple of minutes. Inshallah, we'll see you then. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the Free Legal Advice Show on British Muslim TV. I'm your host, Ilyas Bulbulia. To speak to me live on air, please ring on the landline number which appears at the bottom of the screen. And as always, another very popular way of getting in touch is to send us a message on the mobile number, WhatsApp message, text message on the mobile number, which also appears at the bottom of the screen, and your messages will be fed through to me here live in the studio. Just before the break, we had a caller who queried how an application for nationality could be made. And I took the caller through the form that needs to be completed, Form AN, and I explained that it's similar to how other immigration applications are submitted. Caller had experience of having done his own online applications before, and I was explaining that it's a similar format to what's been done before. You go through the online application, you get to the end, you make the payment, you book your biometric enrollment appointment, and then you can upload your documents beforehand, or you can take your documents to the appointment at the biometric enrollment appointment, get them uploaded then. So it's a similar kind of format to the one that you've been going through. Ultimately, the only difference with a nationality application is that there is a citizenship ceremony. So at some stage, once it's all approved and done, you will have to attend a citizenship ceremony, and then that will be the last stage. You will get your British citizenship certificate at that stage, which will then enable you to make an application for a British passport. So sort of a similar process to what you've been going through throughout the years, doing the online forms, etc. Okay, we've had a number of questions coming in on WhatsApp. Let's look at our next question. Question is as follows. Our viewer says, "Hi, my name is Amir. I have indefinite leave to remain in the United Kingdom. I obtained indefinite leave to remain in October 2014. So has held indefinite leave to remain for a while, some 8 years. Due to my criminal convictions, I wasn't able to apply for nationality. My sentence was 6 months imprisonment, suspended for up to 2 years. So 6 months prison sentence, suspended for 2 years. Our viewer says that that sentence was handed down on the 1st of November 2016. So 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, so more than 5 years ago. The question is, please advise me if I am able to apply for my citizenship." I think the concern relates to the good character rules. How long do I normally have to wait after such a conviction before I can apply for citizenship? Now, when you apply for nationality, there is, as our viewer is saying, a good character requirement. And normally what that means is that if you have been convicted of a criminal offence, then you need to look at the sentence that's been passed. And it's the sentence which determines how long you have to wait before you can make a nationality application. Now, the way it normally works is certain sentences are classed as non-custodial sentences, where there hasn't been imprisonment of the person who's committed the offence. So, for example, getting a fine, getting community service, being placed on probation, these are non-custodial offences. In addition to that, what our viewer is talking about is a 6 months prison sentence, which has actually been suspended for 2 years. And that is also regarded as a non-custodial sentence. So although it's 6 years imprisonment, because it's suspended, it comes into the category of non-custodial sentences. So it's regarded in a similar way to a fine, probation, community service, etc. Although there is a prison sentence, because it's suspended, it's regarded as non-custodial. Now, what that means is where you have a conviction which results in a non-custodial sentence, then there is still a period of time during which you are unable to successfully apply for nationality. Now, off the top of my head, it's 3 years that you have to wait. Now, certainly in your case, you've said quite clearly that the sentence date was the 1st of November 2016. So more than 5 years ago. So you can apply for nationality now because the non-custodial sentence occurred a significant time ago. I think the limit is 3 years, and it's certainly well past that limit. So you can definitely apply. Now, will the application be successful? I can't see why it wouldn't be successful. There may be very limited circumstances where, because of the nature of the offence, there may be some other orders in place. There may be, although it's a non-custodial sentence, there may be certain orders made against you. Sometimes you have to wait for those orders to lapse. But in the vast majority of cases that I see, I'd say 99% of cases, a typical offence which results in imprisonment or which results in a non-custodial sentence, as long as you wait for the required amount of time, you can then successfully apply for nationality. Now, looking at what you've said here, my view is that now that 5 years have passed, you can certainly apply for nationality. Now, when you fill the form in, you still have to declare your convictions, all of them. So, you will set out the fact that you were found guilty of a particular offence. This is the sentence that was imposed. This is the fine that you got, etc. The amount of cost you had to pay was whatever it was. But when the Home Office looks at it, because you've waited for the required amount of time before you can apply for citizenship, your application should be successful. Now, just on that point, as I've said, my view always is make sure you declare all your convictions. And the kind of question that we normally get on nationality applications is where people have committed motoring offences and they've received a fixed penalty, they've received maybe 2 fixed penalties, maybe they've had to go to court. The starting point always should be that whether it's a fixed penalty or whether you've had the matter dealt with in court and it's just a motoring matter, a speeding matter, whatever it is, make sure that you do declare those convictions, however minor they are. The reason for that is, if you fail to declare these convictions, the Home Office could take the view that you have on purpose withheld information, you've been dishonest in the application that you have submitted. And if that is the view that they take, they could potentially ban you from applying for nationality for a period of 10 years. So a small error could result in an application being refused and effectively a ban for 10 years being imposed. So by all means, in your case here and in the vast majority of cases where there are offences, if you have waited the required amount of time before you can apply, do disclose your convictions, the sentence that you've received. Disclose that to the Home Office. Make it clear on the online form. In the vast majority of cases, it should not present a problem at all. So I hope that answers that question. We get a number of questions on motoring offences. So let me just deal with that for the benefit of our viewers. The Home Office guidance on nationality deals with motoring offences, and it tells you what the Home Office approach is. Generally speaking, fixed penalty offences are ignored. But there is something in the guidance where I think if you manage to accumulate 2 or 3 fixed penalty offences within a short period of time, the Home Office does have discretion to refuse your nationality application. So even if it's a motoring matter, you do need to be careful. Not all fixed penalty offences will be disregarded. I think there is something in the guidance which talks about multiple fixed penalty offences occurring within a short period of time, which could mean that the Home Office has discretion to refuse your application. So I know what we're dealing with here is a prison sentence which is suspended, but even if it's a motoring matter, disclose it, take advice on it before you apply. Nationality, on the face of it, compared to other applications that you might have submitted before you got to the indefinite stage, such as your further leave to remain application, such as your indefinite leave to remain application, nationality applications are generally more straightforward, because by the time you've got to the nationality application, you've lived in the UK for 5 years, you might well be married to a British national, you probably haven't spent too much time outside the United Kingdom. So English requirement, you've normally met that already as part of the indefinite leave to remain application. So normally a lot of the requirements which need to be ticked off, you've probably done the vast majority of them. There are some areas where you do need to be careful, where people can run into difficulties, and really that's where there are criminal offences. And the Home Office has a set criteria for dealing with how long you need to wait. Is it a non-custodial sentence? Is it a sentence under 4 years? Is it a sentence between 4 to 15 years, etc.? So all these different types of sentences have a different waiting time. So if yours is a case where you have been found guilty of a criminal offence, then I would certainly take advice from an immigration lawyer on that. The vast majority of applications are straightforward, but when it comes to criminal offences where you've had a sentence imposed by a court, whether it's the Magistrates Court or the Crown Court, do take advice from an immigration lawyer on that. But thank you very much for your question. We're taking a short break. Inshallah, we'll be back in the next couple of minutes. Inshallah, see you then. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the free legal advice show on British Muslim TV. I'm your host Ilyas Bulbulia. To speak to me live on air, please ring on the landline number which appears at the bottom of the screen. And as always, another popular way of getting in touch is to send us a message on the mobile number which also appears at the bottom of the screen. So landline number for calls, and popular way of getting in touch is to send us messages on that mobile number. And we've had numerous messages coming through today on our mobile number. So please do continue to send those messages in, and I'll try and address some of those that have come in the last hour or so now. The next question that's come in is regarding a spouse application. And what our viewer is asking is as follows. Assalamu alaikum. I am preparing to apply for my wife's spouse application from Pakistan. I have been employed for 6 months. I work in a factory and I am hourly paid. My income varies from week to week depending on the hours that I work. How will the Home Office assess my application? Now, I will address this question, but we do have a caller waiting for a while. Let me just go to the next caller first. Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Ji wa alaikum salam. Brother, thank you for calling.
Probably you remember I phoned them twice before for advice.
I think I do recognize your voice, brother.
Yeah, it's basically about a Zambrano application,
Right.
which been pending for around 8 months.
Right, sure.
Because I made my application on 30th of June 2021.
I understand.
Because I'm a carer of my dad, who is a British citizen.
I understand.
So what happened, I phoned them last Friday on EU Resolution Center and asked them, it's been 8 months, around 8 months, no biometric enrollment information been taken from me.
Sure.
So they said, the person from the, Resolution Center, the agent, she told me, I've checked it and she asked me, have you sent your expired biometric card? I said yes. And then she said, look, I see on the system we already got your biometric enrollment information. So my first question is there anything like that, they don't need to take biometric information, or when we make new Zambrano application, we'll have to give new biometric information? That's my first question.
Yep.
Okay.
So on that, so I take it you submitted a paper form, didn't you, for that application?
Yes, I sent an email, paper. I fill this one and then send it through email.
I understand. So where you've sent in your card already, they wouldn't normally ask you to enroll your biometrics. Where you send in your card, they have your biometrics already from when the biometric card was initially issued. So even if you did, and it doesn't apply to Zambrano applications, even if you did a online application on your phone, on your app, you wouldn't be required to do fingerprints because you already have a proper EU residence card. So you wouldn't normally be required to do the normal step of having your biometrics enrolled. So that's fine. What did they say to you in terms of the average processing time at the moment, if they said anything?
Sorry, I didn't quite get you. Say again, please.
So what did they say to you in terms of the delay?
So in terms of the delay, they say the caseworker is still looking at the applications and it's all fine. So I asked her, the second question is I asked her, if, you told me, you already got my biometric enrollment information. So what about my certificate of applications? Because every time previously I made my application for Zambrano, I was given a certificate of application which states my right to work in this country.
Yep.
And then she said, if you want to work, then you can ask your employer to go for the employer checking service. So my question is is this paper, is this acknowledgement letter, the first acknowledgement letter, the only letter, is it enough to, demonstrate that I have right to work?
Yeah. So have you got the COA, the certificate of application? Have you got that?
No, I haven't received the certificate of application. The only letter I've received is just an acknowledgement letter which states that I have submitted an application.
All right, okay. So that acknowledgement isn't normally enough. You would normally need the certificate of application. Now, if you don't have that, the employer would have to do the normal check with the Home Office, on the employer check-in service part of the Home Office website. They're able to put your details in, and they will normally get back a response within 24 hours that you are eligible to work or not. So they can do that. Normally, you should get a certificate of application. That's one of the pieces of documents that you can use to prove your right to work. If you don't have it, the Home Office is going to have to do a check using the employer check-in service.
Sorry. So if my employer send the employer checking service, is it going to be negative or positive then?
Oh, positive. Because, when they go, it will be positive, because when they go onto the employer check-in service website and put your details in, as long as you applied in time, it will show up as you having applied on time. And it will come up as you having the right to work. So, your employer just needs to go onto the employer check-in website and do the check.
Okay.
So you applied for your Zambrano on time, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I did on time.
Okay. Has your employer said to you that we want to do a check? Have they said that to you?
No, I don't have any I don't work for anybody. I'm just planning, because obviously I'm a carer of my dad. So my third question is that I'm a full-time carer of my dad. So if in that case, obviously on my appeal on the court, I demonstrated that my dad needs around the clock caring. So in that case, if I go to work somewhere outside, is he going to jeopardize my application?
No, it doesn't. No. So you can be a carer for your dad and you can work there. It's not one or the other. You can still work. It's not a problem.
Okay, that's fine.
100% you can work. 100%.
Yes, and my final question is that obviously I have a meeting with my local MP, which is going to be on 4th of March. So if I chase up Home Office for the result or for the biometric enrollment or for the certificate application, is it going to cause any sort of negative impact on my application?
No. There'll be no negative impact on your application at all. But brother, you know what? All these cases are delayed at the moment. All these cases are delayed. Because do you remember by 30th of June or 31st of June, 2021, everybody had to submit their applications, and there would be, negative consequences if you didn't apply. So loads of people applied by the end of June 2021. So since then, they have been working through their backlog. So all the applications been submitted in June 2021, that created a huge backlog. Then we've had COVID, people isolating, etc. So that's caused a bit of a backlog, and it's taken much longer to decide. But I mean, what can you do? You can go to the MP and ask your MP to intervene on your behalf. But I think the problem is your case is stuck along with loads of other cases where people haven't heard back. So there might end up being a bit of a wait for you, unfortunately, brother. But there's no negative impact. If you want to speak to your MP, you can definitely do that. There's no problem with that.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, brother.
Thank you so much.
Jazakallah, thank you very much for your...
Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. So just before we took the call, we had a message that had come in regarding spouse applications, and in particular, what our viewer was asking related to a spouse application, the sponsor in the UK wanting to sponsor a wife from abroad. Sponsor has been working for 6 months. Sponsor's concern is that he works in a factory where he's paid on a weekly basis, but his hours, his pay varies week by week. So sometimes it's a bit low, sometimes he'll get a good run and he'll earn a lot more money. So his concern is, what's going to happen? Am I going to make the 18,000 requirement, or am I going to fall foul of that rule? Brother, the easiest way to look at it is, don't worry about what happens week to week. Just look at your last 26 weeks wage slips. So get your last 26 weeks of wage slips and count up the gross pay. Some weeks will be more, some weeks will be less. Just count the gross pay you've received over the last 26 weeks. And the figure that you need to get to is £9,300, half of 18,600. Have you earned £9,300 in those 26 weeks? If you have, then you meet the financial requirement. So that's all you need to do. Don't worry about income going up and dropping. Don't worry about that. Just work out the amount you've earned in the last 26 weeks. If you've earned 9,300, you should be okay. So hopefully, brother, hopefully that answers your question. I know you sent us a couple of follow-up questions, but we are unfortunately running out of time. We've now come to the end of the show. Inshallah, we'll be back next week. Assalamu alaikum.